Welcome, everyone, to another edition of the Fans Talk Wrestling Podcast. FTW is a weekly WWE and TNA discussion where fans talk the wrestling world in all of its laughable glory. This is episode 240, recorded on November 11th, 2014 on FTWLive.com. Tonight, we're less than 2 weeks away from Survivor Series, and the main event is almost booked. We should probably be happy, but WWE apparently wants us to be grumpy instead. And that in itself is ridiculous. And in TNA, Bobby Roode faced his first challenger while the Hardy Boys earned a title shot of their own. With us tonight is Nick. Say hello, Nick.
It's a new day, y'all.
And Joe. Say hello, Joe.
Greetings.
All right. If you're listening live, say hi and leave your thoughts in the comments here on FTWLive.com. If you're on Twitter, you can use the hashtag FTWLive. If you're watching on YouTube, leave a like and make sure to subscribe. We release new videos throughout the week, not just from us, but also from members of the FTW community just like you. All right, before we get into the heart of tonight's conversation, let's jump into the mailbag. To leave your thoughts in the mailbag, you can send us questions at questions@ftwpodcast.com. You can also leave a comment wherever you see our videos and audio posts, especially on YouTube and Google+. This one comes from Jason Wegner. He said, I know you guys only talk about Raw from WWE, but did you watch that stupid trick or street brawl between Ambrose and Cesaro on SmackDown? Seeing Cesaro getting dirty deeds with a pumpkin on his head is reminiscent of Damien Sandow's matches from earlier this year. Rip Cesaro's career. Did you guys watch that match?
Only the little bits of clips that you see on the replay on Raw.
Yeah, I don't recall seeing that, but I do remember other parts of that episode, so I don't know if I zoned out or fell asleep. But here's my complaint. This is something I was thinking about earlier today, and then this question popped up. There's no more, as they call them, support guys, or I'm trying to think of what the term was.
Enhancement talent.
Thank you, enhancement. That's the one I'm thinking of. Yeah, we don't have any enhancement talent anymore, like the Brooklyn Brawler, guys who are there, the jobbers. Let's just call them what everyone calls them, the jobbers. We don't have those guys. So other guys have to take that role. Right now, Cesaro has to for some reason. Maybe it's because he's previously been outspoken, and the company doesn't like things he said, or what. I mean, guys get the
Foreigner.
Huh?
Foreigner.
Oh, that too. Hey, I'm the only thing saving Zack Ryder from having to do it is a torn rotator cuff. So what can you do? But yeah, I mean, but since we don't have those support guys to
Enhancement.
Jobbing, it's probably why he's got to do this, and I don't think it's that big of a deal.
From the live chat, the tail end of that comment makes it sound like Sandow is in a bad position when he is one of the most over characters right now. I'm sort of with that idea. We didn't necessarily like how Sandow was being used, but he was on TV consistently every single week, and that's something that we can't say for guys like Xavier Woods or Kofi Kingston or Bo Dallas or really a big chunk of the roster. So
But I think. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Well, for Cesaro, I mean, yes. I think we can all agree that we would love for him to win matches and be in championship contention, whether that's the Intercontinental Championship or the World Championship. But he's on TV. I mean, that's not Rip his character. That's, hey, he is working through whatever they're putting him through, and hopefully on the other end he'll be winning matches again.
Yeah, but I don't think Cesaro's character is over. Oh, I'm sorry. I read the comment wrong. Never mind. I was reading over about Sandow.
Most of that
he still gets good reactions.
It's a shame.
Sandow or Cesaro?
Cesaro.
Cesaro is over as a wrestler. A character, no way. He has no character. Not right now. They've negated all that.
Okay. All right. Well, regardless, let's move on. The Authority. Basically, last week we were talking about how Vince McMahon came back, and there was the whole stipulation added to the main event for Survivor Series, where if the Authority loses, they could disband. You guys wanted to place a stipulation on John Cena, and if John Cena loses, basically like what happens to him. So from Hank Rowland, he said if John Cena's team loses, he should give up his title shot against Brock Lesnar. LB Clash of Kings said I would prefer a stipulation be if Cena's team loses, he must either decide to retire or turn heel. Which of those two options do you guys like?
I'm going to go with retire only because you can't force someone to be a bad guy. Look at the Bellas. I mean, you try and make the one do stupid shit to break her down. It's not going to make her mad, or it's not going to break her down. She's going to fight back. It'll be a feud like fucking WrestleMania or some shit. So Cena will not turn heel.
Yeah, if you have Cena turn heel as a stipulation, you get that thing where he joined the Nexus, and that didn't work out well for anybody.
Oh, that was terrible.
I do like the idea of Cena being punished by losing his title shot. Except I don't know why he would be the only one to suffer if his team lost.
Yeah, I mean, realistically, if a stipulation like that was added, it would be added for everyone. Sure, I get you. But I definitely like out of these three ideas, or two major ideas, the one that I like the most is that he would lose his title shot. I think that would make the most sense storyline-wise for him to do that. But yeah, he would have to also then, do something to Sheamus. Maybe Sheamus loses his rematch opportunity against Rusev, or Big Show has to cry in the middle of the ring again for 3 months straight, or
I don't think those guys need a punishment though, because Cena's the captain. It's all on him. It doesn't matter if he gets pinned, as long as the team wins. So if he had to trade in his title shot, I mean, that also gives them a reason to keep Brock Lesnar off TV for a little while longer, because then there's no one to challenge him.
True. With you. All right, so let's jump into some TNA. And once again, we are still in the mailbag segment. To leave a comment in the mailbag, all you have to do is leave a comment on our YouTube channel or anywhere else you see our video posts, whether it be Facebook or Google Plus or Twitter or whatever. Last week we talked about who was the best TNA World Champion in 2014. We had four options: Magnus, EY, Bobby Lashley, and now Bobby Roode. Warren Jesse said, I think all four of them suck as champions. Give the belt back to Austin Aries. He's their only hope and the best talent to me. I don't disagree with this. I think I would much rather Austin Aries have been in title contention or holding the title than, say, how long they had the title on EY or Bobby Lashley.
I don't disagree with the sentiment that Aries should have been in there somewhere. I would like to know Warren's criteria for what makes a good champion, though, considering the talent we're talking about here. Because I don't think any one of them are bad champions. EY's reign left a lot to be desired, but that's more how he was used and what he did during his reign.
Right. Which you could say the same thing about Magnus. I mean, it's just a matter of how they were booked as champions that made them look not as attractive. But Lashley, I don't know. I'm still siding with Lashley. The Bradshaw also chimed in on YouTube, and he said that he would also give it to Lashley because he seemed like the heel golden boy who was booked as a badass, beating everyone in his way, including the MMA side. So the MMA side in Bellator, I mean, that was all circumstantial, but still, I think that added so much to the story to have him like just crushing on both sides of, TNA and Bellator.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right. So last week we also talked about what should happen next for Lashley, and specifically like his relationship with MVP and Kenny King, and where those guys should go next. King 1836. Basically, he said that he wanted Lashley to just leave TNA and go and stay in Bellator. Kenny King should go for the X Division Championship, and MVP should go for the world title, which is right around the same things that we said, except for we also wanted Lashley in TNA. And Kyle Williamson wanted MVP to tag with King for the tag team titles, while Lashley would continue chasing Roode for another shot. So do you which again is pretty much echoing what some ideas that we said. But what do you think about that? Would you rather see Kenny King go for the X Division Championship or for the tag team titles?
I think X Division seems more likely at this point. It's hard to say just from the limited reaction time that we got, but King seems to be siding a little bit more with Lashley than MVP at this point. They are teasing that breakup really hard, and Lashley hasn't actively turned on MVP yet, but MVP kind of shouldered him aside to push his own agenda. So it's hard to see a scenario where they won't split up. I think King's suggestion is more likely. Kenny King in the X Division, MVP and world title. Lashley goes away and focuses on Bellator for a while.
I think Nick pretty much nailed it.
Yeah, live chat is talking about potentially Kenny King, maybe even for a world title shot. But King definitely needs to do something to legitimize himself, and I completely agree with that. I mean, that's something that we've wanted for a while, is either him going for the X Division or something for him to get out of the shadows of MVP and Lashley, and really out of the shadows of the mid card, and be put into like a real illuminated spot on the roster, because he can wrestle very well. He's very good on the mic. But for some reason, he's just not being given that real opportunity to succeed.
Can I make a recommendation for future podcasts?
Sure.
That we call Kenny King Kenny instead of King, because if you even momentarily think WWE, you think you're talking about Jerry the King Lawler, and when you start talking X Division and World Champion, it just doesn't fit. Every time you said King, I kind of giggled to myself.
He has an unconventional offense. He uses fireballs. There.
All right. At Mark_Noyce wrote in. He said, "Are you guys having as much trouble getting into Impact as I am? I just can't get into it and enjoy the show knowing that it could be over." I felt the same way. Yes, I do. I feel the same way. It's not so much knowing that the general season is ending for TNA real quickly, but it's just a matter of I don't want to say I'm overwhelmed, but overall, like, TNA was just hitting like every single note so hard and so high for almost like 2 months straight, like the whole TNA NYC tour, that first run in Bethlehem. It's hard to maintain that bar of excellence, and it does seem like they've kind of slowed things down, and they have kind of started to meander a bit. So I think my feeling is more along the lines of they've kind of slowed things down, that they just can't continue at that rate that they were before. Not so much that it's ending soon, but ending soon is on the back of my mind for sure.
TNA has seemed to be in sort of a holding pattern of late, and like you said, Garvin, they can't go that high octane pace 100% of the time. They've got to back things off a little. They've got to slow things down, which is what happened. And that's not to say that there's been a decline in quality as far as matches and stories go, but there does seem to be more of a general malaise surrounding the product, and I don't know if that's because all the TV drama is in the background, uh, influencing things, or if it's something else. It, Generally, I've had a lot more trouble connecting with wrestling in general, be it TNA or WWE. If it's on TV, I haven't felt as much inclination to watch it as it happens of late. So I've been wondering if that's just been me. So I don't know if it makes me feel better knowing that I'm not the only one that feels like that. But yeah, it does seem to be. It does seem to feel like an off season of sorts.
Yeah.
And that seems like it's always the case this time of year. It's like everyone kind of slows down. It's just that TNA was doing so well for them to just put the brakes on. It does come off odd. Joe, what do you think about all this?
Yeah, it's kind of bittersweet, right? Because we know, I mean, because that's how I was feeling. Like, is this the Impact that was supposed to be the beginning of the end? Or are they doing another one? Where's the taping stop? I don't know, but I know it's coming up soon, and that sucks. It's even worse than watching your favorite TV, like sitcom or drama on TV, because we're not used to wrestling having like a season like that.
Right.
I mean, we have the season of, say, day after WrestleMania all the way around to WrestleMania. But outside of that, I mean, but it doesn't, like for WWE, it just doesn't stop. So, yeah, it's kind of a bummer. We kept talking, we kept talking about how we wanted like a break. We've had many discussions about how we wanted, a season. We wanted an endpoint. And yet now we're getting one. We're finally getting that end of season kind of deal. And we're bummed out about it. It's bittersweet.
Yeah, that's a good point, because anytime I'm at the end of a season, I usually don't watch it. I usually skip that final episode and wait until the next season start and then watch 2 episodes back to back.
Right.
Yeah. So that's probably playing like heavily into it, but just because we're so used to it, we're not thinking that that's the reason. But it might be. So yeah, totally agree with you, Mark. Impact is a little difficult to get into right now, but putting our finger on it, it's hard to tell why. What's really the cause. We are going to talk a bit more in depth about TNA's TV schedule, upcoming schedule, a little bit later on in the show, so stay tuned for that. Finally, the final message in our mailbag is from Amandeep, and this is in response to Vince McMahon's return. It's actually 2 points. One is that Amandeep would have preferred to see Shane O'Mac instead of Vince. That even though Shane sold his stock and is out of the company, it would be nice to see him versus Vince McMahon. And I'm in complete agreement with that. Vince is I'm used to Vince coming back when things get kind of slow and boring, but having Shane O'Mac come back, I think, would really help things push forward. It would make it feel different and important. And Vince coming back right now, it doesn't feel important at all.
I don't necessarily know that Shane would have any more affected Vince. Like, yeah, the first time he comes back, you get a huge pop, but then I don't think he'd really have any more effect afterward than Vince. I think Vince would get a better pop more consistently afterward. it's. I think it's a moot point because I don't think he ever is going to have anything to do with the company
Oh,
again.
sure.
As much as we'd like him to, I don't think it's ever going to happen.
It's just a shock value. You know, having Shane come back would be shocking, but having him come back for an extended period of time I think would help things a lot. Right now, we know Vince isn't coming back full time. He isn't coming back for more than 5 minutes, like we saw this week. All right, so outside of that, Mandeep also pointed out a rumor about a potential power struggle that he's been reading. Vince and Triple H, and how Vince threatening to disband the Authority could help continue to push that potentially for a WrestleMania 31 match between Triple H and The Rock. The Rock obviously would be taking Vince's side and representing Vince. So we have seen that tease when Rock made his really brief return about a month and a half ago. So do you like that idea, that storyline angle, as far as where we are now with the Authority and where that would take us?
I don't know. I really don't want to see Triple H back in the ring for any reason. I don't know if I want to see The Rock back in the ring. As much as I like the idea of Rock being the guy or being a guy to fight Rusev, for the national pride, I don't really see that feud going anywhere. It feels like a Goldberg versus Lesnar or a Rock versus Cena. It just feels like a quote-unquote special attraction fight with no substance behind it. And the WWE has enough of that stuff already. They need to focus on the talent they've got full-time, cultivate the talent they've got coming up, and they need to make more stars, not keep relying on the ones from the past.
I mean, I would have liked to see Shane O'Mac, even though there's no possible way. I'm a Shane O'Mac fan. I like the guy. He's a cool guy. He's got some moves. That being said, this Triple H thing, I don't want to see Triple H back in the ring. I've said that many times. I don't want to see Rock back in the ring. Granted, his last match with Cena was much better than the first match with Cena. It's just, we don't need to keep bringing him back. I mean, if you're going to do anything, bring back Donald Trump, have him fight Triple H. It's either that or Vince versus Donald Trump in the ring.
It's equally as absurd. You're right, Jim.
Yeah, it's just it's crazy.
Yeah,
we don't need this.
Benjamin in the live chat, I think, says it best, or at least poses the question best. Why is there such a desire to rehash old Attitude Era stories? I'm in complete agreement with this, and I think we've all echoed this. We don't want to see these guys anymore. We want to see the focus on the new guys. We discussed the current placement for Damian Sandow or Cesaro. We'd rather the focus be put on those guys. The guys that are going to be around for the next 5 to 10 years, not another rehash of something that we've seen for the last 15 years. We want to see something new, something different. We don't need this. We don't want this. So yeah, I think we are all in complete agreement. That story would suck. So that was the mailbag. Let's jump into WWE. This week on Raw, we got 4 members on each of the Survivor Series main event team. Big Show and Sheamus both joined Cena, as Mark Henry and Rusev both joined the Authority. Ryback looked to be joining the Authority at the beginning of the show, but by the end of the show, turned on them. There was a tease that he might join Team Cena. But he didn't. So at this point, officially, we've got 4 on each side. There's potential now for 3 to 4 new members for Team Cena. We've got Ryback, the returning Randy Orton, and even Jack Swagger, who was mentioned this week on Raw as being a possible addition, but I don't necessarily see that one. And there's also another rumor of The Rock getting involved, but we've already discussed that ad nauseum, and we don't want to see The Rock. So, Ryback, Randy Orton, those are probably your two top contenders for that spot. Which one would you prefer, Joe?
I'm kind of right in the middle because Randy Orton's been away a bit, so I don't necessarily want to see Randy Orton because it doesn't exactly fit. I could see Ryback doing it, but I almost have the feeling that Ryback should be on his own, sit in that space between heel and face. Be that tweener. Because then it's whoever pisses off Ryback goes after. He can have a mean streak, but still be a face when needed, and I think it would be very interesting if they did something like that with him. That being said, given the way Raw ended, I'm thinking Ryback would be going.
Yeah, that's where I'm leaning too, because that seems to be the exact same reason why Ryback would join Team Cena is because the Authority screwed him over. Orton, I don't consider to be any more likely than Swagger at this point because they're saying that Orton has been put out of commission and won't be seen for a while. Now, how much stock you put? What's that?
What about Christian? I mean, he's not doing anything. He needs one more match.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know how much stock you put into Orton being on the shelf, considering how much they love popping the surprise at the last seconds. Oh my God, where'd he come from? He's supposed to be on the shelf for 3 more months. And I don't know if Orton is doing any movies or anything like that, so I don't know. It's entirely possible he could be a surprise final entrant, but then at that point, so could Swagger. I think Ryback is the most likely candidate at this point.
Yeah, out of these three guys, I'm definitely going to go with Ryback. Randy Orton, storyline-wise, would probably benefit from this, because he would come in and be the hot face in the group.
Robert Carmichael in the live chat says Roman Reigns or Ryback. I think it's too early for Reigns. I think Reigns is going to be a Rumble.
Well, Reigns not healthy. He's not healthy enough to come back just yet. I think he's out until at least the Rumble for sure. But yeah, Orton. I think the storyline points to Orton. Orton coming back and being the surprise guy. But I would much prefer Ryback just because it would put Ryback in that spotlight, and I know there's a few of you out there that don't like Ryback and don't think Ryback gets a reaction, even though he obviously does. But yeah, I think Ryback fits the spot better, and he also gives them that edge.
No, Edge is retired.
Well, like you said, Joe, I mean, he's basically he'll beat up anyone you tell him to or you put him in front of, and I think you need a guy like that. So on the flip side, though, we've also got one potential member for Team Authority, which is Luke Harper. So if we saw the end of Raw, Luke Harper basically took out Dolph Ziggler and made himself available for Team Authority. Do you like that? Do you like that possibility that Luke Harper would be a team player, as he said, and join Team Authority?
I think him joining the team is fine. I think the fact they gave him a mic there, and he said, "I'm a team player." No, that was terrible.
Well, I think his exact wording was, "I'm a team player."
I could be a team player.
Yeah.
It was the same accent that Doc Holliday did.
Yeah.
He's Southern boy.
Tag team match, player. It was bad. It's just like indie.
I think you guys need to listen to more jazz and Cajun talk.
I miss that PBS show where the Cajun guy taught you how to cook and he looked like his face had been ripped off by an alligator. I guarantee. Yep, that guy. No, I don't think Garvin's ever seen this guy, so now I have to find it.
No, I don't recall. I don't recall. The "I guarantee" line sounds familiar, but I don't remember the face.
I mean, that comes from any stereotypical Cajun guy, though.
That's true.
Guarantee.
Like the Crocodile and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and
I'm just thinking of Captain Sisko's father. Since we're talking about Cajun. Anyways, so yeah, Luke Harper for me, this is kind of odd. I mean, it is something we talked about before. I think maybe 2 weeks ago we talked about the possibility of Luke Harper and Eric Rowan both joining Team Authority. Just having Harper there is interesting. You know, it is putting him into a spot where it looks like they're putting him into a singles. Into a bit of a singles career, especially him taking out Dolph Ziggler. I mean, that interests me a lot, having him go against Dolph Ziggler for the Intercontinental Championship. So if that's the direction they're going, I think this is fantastic.
I completely agree. I think Harper can do a lot in the singles role. I think there's stuff from him that we haven't seen yet, or haven't seen a lot of. He's the big monster that can do a Hurricane Rana better than a lot of the high flyers can. So, yeah, by all means, put him in a feud with Ziggler.
I don't remember this guy at all, Joe. All right.
but it looks like he got his face bit off by an alligator, don't it?
Yeah. Yes, it does.
But he could just
We'll,
be like,
we'll have to post a link in the show notes.
I already posted it in the live chat.
All right, cool. All right, so yeah, I think Luke Harper being added, it is cool. Like at first I was against it, but there's so many cool possibilities that could come of it. I think that'd be pretty fantastic. So, real quick, while we're talking about the Survivor Series main event, LuTube wins in the live chat wanted to know what we thought about the sole survivor. If any of these guys being left as the sole survivor who would benefit the most with that role? And we're talking Cena, Dolph, Sheamus, Big Show, Rollins, Kane, Rusev, Mark Henry, Luke Harper, and maybe Ryback or Orton.
Ryback or Luke Harper, I think, would benefit the most.
I think it'd be Ziggler. Just given the way he's been built lately, or the lack of build, the way he just keeps losing and losing and losing, I think being made the sole survivor would do a lot to turn things around. And there's been language and appearance that kind of suggests the WWE is maneuvering him for that. They connected him with Daniel Bryan in that opening monologue. When Cena approached him about the possibility of Ziggler jumping ship, Ziggler looked very CM Punkish in his attire, with the taped up wrists and the hoodie. So,
I also noticed that.
Yeah, I think he's the one being maneuvered into that position, and I think he could do the most with it right now.
I mean, just looking at when you ask the question though, who do you think would get the most out of being the last? That's why I would say Ryback or Luke Harper, because Ryback, it would help define him as a powerhouse in the role that they're starting to give him again, because it does really need to be redefined if they're going to make him a major power, to be the major strong guy. Or a major strong guy, they need to define that. And then Luke Harper just needs to be put on the map. I mean, he's been great in tag team wrestling, but to help define that character a bit more. So I think either one of those would be a good last man, sole survivor.
Yeah, you're not wrong. Personally, I think Harper's time will come afterward when he is feuding with Ziggler. I think that will arise as those two have matches. Ryback being defined as a power guy, though, it's kind of already happened, because he's already dominated guys like Titus O'Neil since his comeback, and he basically cleared the ring single-handed at the end of this last Raw.
Yeah, but still, I want to see it more defined. You know, with all the powerhouses in the ring for a set match, it still needs to happen. Like
Fair
one
enough.
time's a fluke, a second time is definitive.
Yeah, I think realistically, Ryback, Luke Harper, they're both positioned well. They both have the wherewithal to do it. I think Dolph would be super surprising, but epic. I would be totally stoked if Dolph Ziggler was the last man standing in that. I have a hard time believing WWE would push him at that capacity, but they do need a star. They do need a real face moving forward, and they don't really have anyone that the crowd can get behind as a face outside of him. So yeah, I think if you're going to take a gamble, you do it with Dolph. So I'm with you there.
Admit it, Garvin. You just want to quit the show and watch that Cajun cook.
That was a little creepy. All right, so Kofi Kingston will be joining Xavier Woods to bring in the New Day. So basically, what we had hoped for was that they were going to move forward with this Kofi Kingston Xavier Woods partnership. Potentially, Big E is involved as well. Still, so do you like this direction? Do you like these video packages that they're running with? And do you like this better than how they were presenting themselves in the ring previously? Nick?
I really like this direction, and I'm fully confident that Big E will have his vignette next week. I don't really know that it's all that separate from what they were doing before they took their hiatus from TV, but yeah, I really do like the direction. I think these three guys, and who knows if anybody else is going to be jumping on board with them, but I think these three guys definitely have what it takes to make the most of this new push.
Yeah, they definitely do. I like it. I really hope they're not like taking something we were really interested in and spinning it to be like, you know, we're waiting for Brodus Clay to be the monster, and then he comes back as the Funkasaurus. I really hope they're not doing something like that. This easily could be an extension of the thing we saw before, and I really hope it is, because that was intriguing. You know, we were interested, we were excited, and, you know, we do want to see more of that. So I'm hoping, possibly beyond hope, that that's what's going to happen.
Yeah, it's definitely not separate, but it does feel like a new direction. At least it's defined now. It's defined what they're doing and how they're trying to move forward. To me, it's very positive. It's them trying to hype us up. You know, that this is going to happen. That they're going to take over and get the spot that they deserve and have earned and all that. So I think this is cool. I think this does toe the line though of stereotypicalness, which seems to be a running theme as of late in the IWC. So there is that somewhat issue, just the whole Southern Gospel Baptist style videos that they're doing, and this does fit with the last the last speech that I can remember Big E doing, which was like that weird, random Southern preacher style monologue that he did.
That was after a pay-per-view, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I really should have given him.
Oh no, not that one. There was one in the ring. It was one in the ring where he was like.
He started getting really into it, and that seemed to just happen naturally, where he started doing the Baptist minister thing. And you are right. It does have a slightly different tone. It's sounding much less militant than it did before. So yeah, there is something to that.
Yeah. So I'm still looking forward to it. I think this is really cool. I think overall we should be happy with what they're doing. But you never know. This is WWE, and they tease things all the time and then take it back. So hopefully they fulfill here. So. Survivor Series takes place on Sunday, November 23rd, and our full preview is next week. FTW241 recorded live on Tuesday, November 18th on FTWLive.com. Definitely join us in the live chat. It's a lot of fun. We want to hear your predictions, and we'll be doing a full preview, and I hear we're going to have a special guest, but I'm not going to name names because that always backfires on me. So, here's the official card as we know it right now. It's Team Cena versus Team Authority in a traditional Survivor Series match. We also have Bray Wyatt versus Dean Ambrose. The Divas Championship on the line between AJ and Nikki Bella. And then we have some likely additions, but it's kind of hard to tell where they're going. Miz and Mizdow versus the Usos potentially, or Miz and Mizdow and whatever they called Hornswoggle this week versus
Little Miz.
Little Miz versus Los Matadores.
I like 2.5 Miz.
There's also potential for a Golden Stardust versus the Usos again, but who knows? And then Adam Rose versus the Bunny. I really hope that's a match. I hope that they make that a match because that'd be kind of cool. I hope that's them unveiling who is the Bunny. My guess is it's not Darren Young anymore.
I'm not even sure that's where they're going with this. I don't know if they will unveil the Bunny. I'm kind of wondering if this won't be what turns Adam Rose and Leo Kruger.
That would be interesting, but totally contradictory to how they've built the character so far.
True.
I mean, because if they were going to go with an opposite, they would make him a lemon. But for him to just, become angry kind of thing, that's different. I don't know. Seems odd.
I mean, the party will be over at that point.
Then it becomes a hunting party.
Ooh. All right, well.
Party for goblins and spiders and shit.
All right, well, that's WWE. We'll talk more about it next week. Next week, again, is our Survivor Series pre-show, FTW241. All right, so let's talk some TNA. Last week on Impact, we saw the Hardy Boys defeat Low-Ki and Samoa Joe to earn a title shot against the Wolves. Did the right team win? Nick?
I think so. I touched on this last week. Basically, I think the Hardy Boys present a more legitimate opponent for the Wolves to go over. As much credibility as Low-Ki and Samoa Joe have individually, they just don't have that same sort of cachet in the tag team realm. So having the Wolves face off against Hardys again will be a better match, I think.
Yeah, I'm torn personally. I do like the Hardy Boys here, but I also would have been okay with Low-Ki and Samoa Joe. And I know that kind of contradicts my feelings before about how Samoa Joe holding the X Division title and going for the tag team championships didn't really make a whole lot of sense and degraded the X Division championship. But I think I would have been fine just because of the match that we would have received. I think that would have been the better of the two matches. But overall, though, with everything going on in the X Division, the Hardy Boys probably were the better team to go. So I'm good with this, and I think you're right, Nick. Overall, this is going to be an excellent match. If we learned anything from the round robin style tournament that they did a month and a half ago, 2 months ago, this is going to be fantastic. But what this leads us to, though, is whether or not there will even be a tag team championship match. We know that Davey Richards has been courted by James Storm. James Storm wants an answer by next week. So, what do you see happening here? Do you see Davey Richards joining the Revolution, leaving his brother behind, or do you see both the Wolves joining, or the Wolves not joining at all?
I don't see the Wolves getting broken up. Uh, Especially not with the other efforts being made to court other wrestlers. I guess we'll touch on that later. Um, for one thing, it would be pretty stupid for the Wolves to be broken up, considering that they're one of three legitimate tag teams at this point that are anywhere near contending for gold. So I think Davey Richards is going to tell James Storm no.
It seems like the logical choice. I mean, just because of how they've built up the Wolves, to have the Wolves split up, it makes no sense. It makes absolutely no sense. So yeah, I think the Wolves stay together. There is that chance that we might see the Wolves join the Revolution, but I just don't see where they benefit from that. They're already at the top of the division. They can't really get any higher unless they go a singles route, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right. So we saw some more interaction between Gunner and Sam Shaw. Gunner confronted Shaw, and then was left in the middle of the ring on his back as Shaw and Brittany made out. Do you like this and where this is leading? This feud between Sam Shaw and Gunner.
I think so. I do like that Shaw is getting back to quote unquote his roots, going back to what made me like him in the first place. I don't necessarily know that I like the feud with Gunner as much as it needs to happen. I don't know how much more I really want to see that. So I'm hoping that it closes out next week, and then Shaw moves on from there.
Yeah, for me the worst part of this story has been Gunner. Like, I like what they're doing with Shaw. I like the interaction between Shaw and Brittany. I think they have like this weird dynamic together, this weird chemistry that just works. Gunner, on the other hand, just seems to be there. He's very I don't know. I think he's just too stiff for the role. He doesn't fit well as a counterpart to Shaw. So I like what they're doing with Shaw. I don't know where this leads Gunner.
Yeah, I don't really know what would be good for Gunner at this point, because like you said, he just doesn't seem to belong in this feud. It's very stiff. He doesn't look comfortable at all, and I don't know if it's just a lack of chemistry between him and Shaw, or it's just Gunner being a lack of personality. So I just hope that Gunner finds something better to do, because I think he's has a place in the company. It's just I haven't really liked much of what he's done for a long time now.
No, and I remember when he was feuding with EY for the TV championship, and that's when Eric Bischoff was still there, and Bischoff said on TV that Gunner was like the next big thing. He was the future of TNA, and I really believed at the time. Then he went off. I think he had an injury or something. He came back, and he just hasn't been the same guy for me. He's got impact. He's got like this good energy about him, but for some reason, put him on the mic, and there's not much there to tell a good story. So
that's the death nail, though, if for anyone to come out and actually say this guy's the next big thing. Anytime they do that, the guy fails. McIntyre, for one, Drew McIntyre.
Right.
I mean, granted, it's a different company, but that was one of the biggest things. You know, they came out and said Vince McMahon handpicked this guy. Granted, being a storyline or not, to put him in a storyline like that means you've got to have a lot of faith in the guy. And then, and I feel the same thing's happening with Gunner. It's just, they said it, and now he's going to suck.
Yeah, it's like they said it, but they didn't say it about the right guy. Like, they should have chosen someone who already had the tools to move forward, and Gunner still really has to develop those tools before he can be even close to that, the future of TNA.
And that's the difference I see between Gunner and Drew McIntyre, because McIntyre, in his case, I think it was much more of a case of the WWE not giving him the ball and letting him run with it as far as he needed to. With Gunner, TNA is a company where you get chance after chance after chance to find something that works for you and run with it. And Gunner's been Mr. Intensity and the modern day Viking, and he hasn't gone anywhere with that. I don't think it's the company. I mean, granted, there is that almost superstition of you get hailed as the next best big thing in wrestling and you're almost certain to fail. But with this, I think it's more on Gunner than anything else. I mean, the same thing happened with Garrett Bischoff when Hogan handpicked him as the next top guy. And
yeah, that.
Let's be honest here. That was Garrett Bischoff. Nobody believed that one.
Yeah, even then, I don't think he's quite the same case as Gunner, because Bischoff showed genuine talent. Like when he was teaming with Briscoe and the Aces and Eights, I thought those two would have knocked it out of the park as a tag team, contending for gold. But Briscoe got cut, and God only knows what Bischoff is still doing, because apparently he's still with the company. But nobody's seen him for months.
Apparently. All right. Well, speaking of people that should be doing well but aren't at the level that we would have liked them to be, Bram and Magnus. They lost this week to Dreamer and Devon, and this bothers me. And the reason is, I mean, we were looking forward to this match because the damage that Dreamer would take, and he took it. For sure, Tommy Dreamer took a beating, and it was wonderful. But does a loss for Magnus and Bram hurt them more than help?
I don't think so. I think this is a situation where there has to be some give and take. Because the time before, Bram and Magnus walked all over Devon and Dreamer. And this time, it happened to go the other way. I don't think this is the end of things. I think they'll fight again next week. And I fully expect Bram and Magnus to triumph there. I don't remember if it went exactly that way with Bram and Abyss, but Bram didn't have his way all the time. So, and look where he is now. He's in a position where he's challenging two hardcore legends for that top hardcore spot. So, I think this is necessary. I don't think this hurts them.
See, to me, I think this hurts them, or at least my impression of them, because Magnus, former world champion, as in within the last 12 months, former world champion. Bram has been looking dominant ever since he came in, and they lost to Tommy Dreamer and Devon. Devon, I could kind of see if he was teamed with Bully, but Tommy Dreamer, I see it's that. It's because of Dreamer. It's because of the condition that Dreamer was basically put in throughout the entire match, for him to have that, like, out of nowhere comeback type of thing, and Devon helping as well. I just think the way that they told the story in the ring, it made Magnus and Bram look not as dominant as they should be.
I think if this was just an out of nowhere kind of thing for Dreamer, I'd feel more the same way. But this is what Dreamer does. He always gets the shit kicked out of him, and he always comes back. And I might be a little more influenced by his indie work lately, because he's looked great on the indies, be it House of Hardcore or FWE or anything along those lines. I may be more accepting because of that, but the way I see it, Dreamer and Devon are two legends in hardcore wrestling, decorated time and time again. So I don't really see it as that much of a hindrance.
For Sting, Kurt Angle, and who else am I missing? Was it Bully? I can't recall now.
Did what?
I don't know where you're going with this.
for
Came from the WWE into TNA.
for them to put over EC3, I think it wouldn't be too bad for Tommy Dreamer and Devon to get a loss here. That's where I'm coming from. Like, we've seen how great a veteran can be for a young guy, especially a young guy who has been built so well as Bram has, as Magnus has. That's where I'm coming from. I think I would much rather. I think the story would be much better if they steamrolled over Devon and Tommy Dreamer. Sure, that might make the opposite look bad as far as Dreamer and Devon, but they could continue the story. Here, it's people that should have won are now chasing these old guys around trying to get another match, kind of thing. That's where I see this going, and I don't necessarily want to see that.
Well, EC3 didn't just walk over any of those three guys. They gave him legitimate grief along the way. Each of those programs took a while for EC3 to come out on top. And it hasn't been Dreamer and Devon dominating Bram and Magnus either. Like I mentioned before, last week, Bram and Magnus walked all over those two. There was no actual match, but I mean, they kicked Dreamer and Devon's asses up and down the ring from 6 ways to Sundays. So
True, you're right. No, I'm probably looking too much into it, but oh well. So let's move on to the main event this week. And last week we were talking about how most likely Bobby Roode wouldn't defend the title again for the rest of the year. We were looking at the final champion of 2014, and we were predicting who should go and face Bobby Roode first in 2015. We got the surprise match. It's MVP this week. MVP lost, but overall, were you surprised that they had a turnaround first title defense so early on? And are you surprised that MVP lost cleanly and pretty quickly?
I'm surprised that the match happened this fast, and I was kind of surprised that MVP was so blatantly shouldering Lashley aside. I'm not surprised that MVP lost clean. I think that would have been a given, just because I doubt TNA really wants Roode to drop the belt after just 1 week, or I guess the same night for the live crowd.
Yeah,
that would have been a big disappointment. But yeah, I'm okay with this match happening, just for the teasing of the big breakup between Lashley and MVP, and MVP announcing so boldly that Lashley got where he was because he was doing MVP a solid while he was out,
right.
Implying that Lashley never would have gotten that chance otherwise. So I like the storytelling aspect there. It's so yeah, I was kind of surprised the match happened, but I like that it did.
Yeah, I was definitely surprised that the match happened. I'm not surprised that MVP lost, but I am surprised that the match was so short. As the match was happening, I was thinking back to just their feud up to this point. Not just this match, not just this month, but the back and forth that these two guys have had for months. It's really been, and I know we'll talk about this later on in the year, but as far as my favorite feud in TNA, and I'm almost leaning towards Bobby Roode and MVP as being my favorite feud, and for this match to end this way so quickly, I don't think gave enough credit to that feud. It was almost as if MVP was a pushover, and I don't think they've built him up to be that. So to me, it was kind of odd.
Yeah, I can see that. I think it's just Roode needs to start off in commanding fashion, and he's still got the big badass Lashley to contend with.
Right. So okay, that was this week in TNA. Last week in TNA. This week on Impact, we're going to see Gunner versus Sam Shaw in a no DQ match. Samoa Joe in that tag team match. He got injured, so there's supposed to be a pretty huge announcement. So we'll be looking forward to that. EY versus Tyrus, Taryn Terrell versus Madison Rayne, and the decision of Davey Richards. Will Davey Richards join Revolution? Out of those happenings, those things being promoted by TNA right now, what are you most looking forward to? Real quick, Nick.
Probably EY versus Tyrus. I think that'll be an interesting match, and there's definitely going to be some kind of interaction between EC3 and Spud, so there's that to look forward to as well.
And see, I'm interested in Taryn Terrell versus Madison Rayne. I want to see Taryn Terrell kick some ass, and see just so we can reevaluate her worth to the Knockouts division. Same with Madison Rayne, though Madison Rayne's more proven.
Yeah, I hope that's where this particular mini feud ends, so Taryn can move on to Havoc.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I think Taryn Terrell moving on to Havoc would be the best case scenario here. For me, while I am intrigued by the whole Davey Richards Revolution thing, because I mean, there's the obvious choice that we think should be made, but there's always like that off chance that they might do something wacky. So I am looking forward to see what they do with that, whether or not Davey Richards will join Revolution. But as far as matches go, EY versus Tyrus, I think that's going to be interesting just to see, how much time they give these guys, what Tyrus can do in the ring against EY. I'm always interested in seeing how people work with EY. And just how this carries on the story. They gave Spud a bigger part this week. I know we didn't talk about it, but they gave him a bigger part this week and really started building that feud between between EC3 and Spud, and this will help with that. So that's what I'm looking forward to.
One thing I'm also looking forward to that we didn't quite touch on was seeing more of Mahabali Shera, the new Indian wrestler. I like the fact that Manic approached him and seems to be feeling him out for joining the Revolution.
Yeah.
I think that's a very interesting direction for them to go with this new guy.
Yeah, no, I agree. I thought that was a nice transition as well. It also gave Manic that speaking role, which is something we haven't seen pretty much ever. So it was nice to see what he can do, and I was okay with it. But yeah, the dude, that new wrestler is huge.
Yeah, he's a big boy.
I'm interested in how he works in the ring. Definitely interested to see where that goes. I don't necessarily see him joining Revolution. He's probably going to go against Revolution if I were to predict.
I don't know. I kind of see him getting suckered in by the new guys by the Revolution, since they were the first one to really reach out to him, and he doesn't know anybody.
That's true. So I don't know. We'll see. But okay. And I know we wanted to talk about TNA's TV deal. I suppose we could talk about it briefly. Obviously, we don't know anything. No one knows anything. Nothing has been announced. TNA still hasn't signed a new U.S. television deal, which is pretty important. So Spike TV is not doing them any favors, because after this next show, which is tomorrow for us, there won't be any new episodes of TNA. They're not going to be on TV for the week of Thanksgiving because for some reason Spike TV doesn't see any reason to put them on TV for Thanksgiving week, even though that means we don't get the Turkey Bowl match, which is my favorite match of the year, just to see Rob Terry in a turkey suit again. And then after that, it's all highlights and best ofs and replays and stuff like that for the rest of the year. So, next week is going to be the last week of new content that we're going to be talking about. Hopefully that's not the case. Hopefully, they change their mind and things work out and, we have new episodes. But as it stands right now, nothing new after next week, which sucks. So.
But maybe we'll focus a little more on NXT.
Yeah, there is definitely opportunities. You've got NXT, you've got Lucha Underground, which was pretty cool. I saw the first episode today. I was very interested. So real quick, do you guys think TNA can survive in the U.S. market without having new programming for what is that? Potentially
Month and a half.
5 weeks,
Yeah.
6 weeks.
I think
because like if a new TV deal doesn't get announced like until closer to January, they aren't putting out new programming until at least January. So that's a long time.
it's a long time, but I mean, there's still an option, a possibility that they'll survive it. And, maybe it'll give everybody, the wrestlers, the writing staff, uh, give everybody like a refresh, a time to just clear their heads of everything so they can be refreshed and ready to go and kick some major ass. And for the wrestlers themselves, I really hope that they could just heal up. Make sure they're ready to go on top of their game when it's time to go again. I think not Spike, but I think TNA is going to get a new deal. But with the rumor that Spike's tanking them right now so they can buy them for a cheaper rate because they won't have the good ratings, that seems a little ridiculous.
Yeah, it does.
But then again, if you go to look back at like ECW and what Paul Heyman said on a podcast, he said that what's the pay-per-view company? In Demand. I think they said In Demand
Sounds legit. Continue.
wouldn't give them the money they were owed until after they go bankrupt. That way, they only had to give them pennies on the dollar for what they were owed.
Yeah.
And that's what caused the downfall of ECW.
Right. Yeah, I do remember him saying that.
It was a very interesting conversation, but I don't know if it's something. I mean, it rings kind of like that, but not really because it's. I don't know. It's TV deal. What do you do?
It's dumb. I don't know the TV business more than anyone else, but for sure, it just seems like ridiculous that Spike TV would tank TNA and put them in a bad spot so that they couldn't go anywhere else. Because that's not helping Spike. If Spike keeps TNA and continues to
Spike is
do what they've done.
Spike is emotionally abusing TNA.
Yeah.
Nobody loves you. Nobody's going to want you. You're going to stay here.
That's so dumb. Yeah. That can't be it. So, I don't know. So, I don't know if it will hurt them, but I will enjoy the opportunity to relax and not have to watch so much wrestling. But I'll miss it for sure. I know I won't watch any of the highlight episodes, the best ofs.
Yeah, I probably won't unless I happen to be sitting there, nothing else on TV.
Yeah. So we talked about maybe bringing in more NXT talk during that time. Also, Lucha Underground is underway, and they've got 2 episodes out. One more episode this week. I started watching that. It's pretty cool. Then there's also GFW, and that's so far ahead. I mean, that's January 4th, I think, is their first U.S. appearance, and it's an NJPW show. JR was announced this week as being the commentator for the show for the U.S. audience, so I think that's going to pique a lot of people's interests. I know that's being talked about in the live chat right now. There's definitely wrestling out there outside of TNA. So, but I really want TNA to be back on TV sooner than later. But who knows? We'll see. We'll see what happens. But we'll keep you guys posted, and we'll talk about we'll talk about this more as things come out. But hopefully we'll see TNA back in the U.S. Before January. Crossing my fingers. All right, let's get into win fail. Joe, what is your win of the week?
My win of the week is that segment on Raw where Ryback said, I team up with John Cena, but his name's not on my check, and then that was a great spine buster. Always been a fan of the spine buster, so when I see a good one, I'd like to applaud it. So that's my win of the week.
Nick, your win of the week?
Splitting it between a debut and a repackaging of sorts. The debut, Mahabali Shera, I think he can do a lot in TNA. I like the way they're building him. I like the excitement that he's showing in his video packages. It's very refreshing for me. And the repackaging is Kofi and Xavier Woods, and presumably Big E. I like the direction this is going. I think this is long overdue for those guys. Those three together can pretty much do anything they want if they're only given the opportunity. So I'm really hopeful that this turns out well for them.
I like both of those things, as you guys said. Those were good moments. Ryback's spine buster on Cena, the whole that whole segment, and then I am interested in see what the New Day is, and hopefully it's a good New Day. My win of the week is going to go to Spud on TNA. I thought Spud killed it on the mic this week. Just the interaction between him and JB was pretty cool, and just to see the fans really rally behind Spud is nice. It's nice to see. So hopefully that means good things coming. But at the same time, my only con of the of the segment and the way they're building Spud is that he is so tiny. Like it's almost unbelievable that he's going to be able to do anything with EC3, especially with Tyrus being able to just hold him up in the air without much effort at all.
I like that touch where he was kicking his legs as Tyrus lifted him up. That was nice.
Wins from the live chat. We got JR coming to Global Force. The back and forth between Wyatt and Ambrose. Ryback, Ambrose, Wyatt. A New Day is coming. Lots of love for the New Day. New Japan Pro Wrestling Power Struggle event. Lucha Underground is getting a win. That also goes for me as well. I really enjoyed the first episode. And I think that's it for the live chat. Fails of the week. Joe, your fail of the week?
My fail of the week is Luke Harper's dialogue at the end of Raw.
Boo!
Playa. Holla holla.
Did you like Luke Harper's dialogue better than Eric Rowan's? She's not here.
I missed that one. The last thing I remember him saying was, pretty.
Yeah, that was during the Adam Rose Tyson Kidd match. Rowan just came down the ramp and stalked around at the back of the ring, lifted up his match. She's not here. The crowd.
I like that better.
Oh man.
I would like it even more if it was not planned and they're like, what the fuck? What is he doing out here? She not here.
Nick, your fail of the week?
I don't know. I guess I'll pick a win from the chat as my fail, and that's Team Red Dragon winning the IWGP Junior Tag Titles. I don't like that team at all. If anybody in that company should be holding those belts, it's the Time Splitters, because fuck yeah, Alex Shelley.
Take your word for it. My fail is going to echo what the live chat is talking about, and we were supposed to talk about it earlier in the show, but I forgot to write it down for some reason. But it's the guest star this upcoming week on Raw, Grumpy Cat.
Oh God, yeah.
Everyone's favorite internet meme, Grumpy Cat. That is going to be the guest star for Raw. What that actually means, who the hell knows? I don't follow Grumpy Cat enough to know what this actually means, but I'm not looking forward to it, and I am okay with admitting that I will not be watching Raw at all this week because of that.
It's a thing because there's a Lifetime movie being made based on the meme, so that's what it's hyping up. Yeah.
Lifetime movie.
It's like Grumpy Cat's Christmas or something, right?
Something like that. A little girl gets the Grumpy Cat for Christmas, and I don't know. It's like a modern Garfield if Garfield was a girl.
Modern.
It's gonna be awful because it's not Bill Murray voicing the cat. So
let's be honest, that wasn't even good.
it had its moments.
So yeah, live chats echoing that. Grumpy Cat on Raw next week. Grumpy Cat on Raw next week. Um,
Bringing up Grumpy Cat, they did remind me of what Kayfabe News said about it. Is WWE is making our job extremely hard because they're satirizing themselves before we get a chance to do it for them.
yeah, and that's what got me because I'm reading this in my Feedly.
Oh,
And
I've got another fail.
I saw that story, and I'm like, all right, that must have been kayfabe news. I didn't even look at who was the byline. I just figured, oh, that's kayfabe news. That's dumb. That's not actually happening. 3 pages later, I'm still seeing the headline. I'm like, no way, this is a real thing.
Yeah. Okay. So my other fail is Kevin. I got a text on Saturday where he says, let's see if I can do this right. Yeah, I'm just reading the text, but it's, I just saw an article that Brock Lesnar lost the title at a house show. Can you confirm?
Oh yeah.
And I reply back to him, no, that's kayfabe news. Come on. It says Lesnar's been losing at house shows for months. And to lose to Kofi Kingston? Come on. He's like, dude, I didn't read the article, dick.
That was also
Are you asking me?
It was also posted in in the Facebook group, but it was like a copy and paste of the entire story. That it was obvious they didn't read it or they didn't read the byline of it. So, but yeah, that did get some love, more than it should have. Just reading what it said, reading the headline. But then again, Grumpy Cat. So who knows?
Yeah. I've actually got another fail, and I think it has to be the English crowds. This one on Raw, they didn't really seem to be on top of things because they booed the Authority when they came out, but they would pop for everything Triple H and Stephanie said. And they booed loudest for Cena, which is obvious, always gets boos, but
for them, they want to cheer whatever they can because they don't get as many shows as we do.
Yeah. I get that part of it, but it just didn't seem to make sense. And the horror story that was apparently the Leeds audience, I've heard various reports. Some say it was the entire crowd sucked. Some say it was a small portion of people wearing ref shirts that were just the smarkiest of smarks. But that sounded like it was a shit show. Justin Gabriel tweeted about that. Apparently, that audience made him leave the tour the next day. And I don't know how much of that is legit and how much of that is kayfabe, because Justin Gabriel hasn't been playing that much of a heel for a while now.
Yeah, that's an awkward one.
I like to believe that it's legit because I'll take any excuse to throw Limeys under the bus.
That big red double-decker bus they put on the Raw stage when...
Exactly.
Yeah, I got to be honest. In the during mailbag, we were talking about if Impact was, we were having a hard time getting into Impact as of late. For me, mostly, I'm having a hard time. I'm having a hard time.
You're getting a hard what?
Shut up. I know what I almost said, and I didn't say it. I'm having a hard time getting into Raw lately. So what I've been doing is watching it like on a faster speed, like 2 times the regular speed. So I can watch a 3-hour Raw in like 45 minutes or something like that.
Yeah, I was told about that over the weekend. How you do that frequently.
Oh, it's so nice, and like it gives me an opportunity to ignore the crowd because I'm focusing more on what's being said because it's being said so fast. So yeah.
And see, that's why I like that the last pay-per-view is I watched it without sound, so I could focus on the wrestling and not have to worry about what the fuck was being said.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean this goes to and that was another like thing that I was trying to do is I was watching Raw on mute because the crowds were so awful and I didn't want them to taint my my enjoyment. But watching it fast forward allows me to enjoy Raw much better because it allows me to really focus in on what's being said in the matches, even though it's going like super quick. That's probably terrible of me to admit to, but all right. Well, that's it. That's our wins and fails of the week. Final thoughts before we close out.
Let's hope for a good closeout for the year in wrestling.
Yes.
Agreed. My final thought is just a reminder of an upcoming schedule. We posted this in the Facebook group. I don't know if we posted this anywhere else, but just some important dates or shows to be aware of. Next week is our Survivor Series pre-show, so all Survivor Series talk, and we should have a guest on to help preview that. And then the following show is going to be our Thanksgiving special, so things we are thankful for as wrestling fans. I'm sure we'll talk about TNA and what happened that week, but for the most part, we're going to be just bullshitting and just talking about what we like as wrestling fans. And we're also going to make that show available to you guys. We're going to post a link to the Hangout, so you guys can actually join the Hangout as you will. Just have a mic, have some headphones, and I'm sure that'll be a train wreck, but it'll be fun because it'll be Thanksgiving. So, and then the next major show after that is we're once again going to be taking our normal 2-week break in December. So over Christmas and New Year's, we will not be doing a show. But leading up to that, we've got the NXT Takeover and WWE TLC pre-show on the 9th, which is FTW244, and 245, which is December 16th, is going to be the Drunk Show. So hopefully we can get Kevin in on that. Hopefully we can get Harrison back on that. Those are the funnest show of the year for sure. Every year it's been so. But that's it.
I'm thinking about taking the day after off of work and just getting blotto.
Let's do it. I can do that as well.
Whoa.
All right. And that's the show. You can go check out FTWpodcast.com for more information about us and how to get involved in the future. And you can join us live each and every Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern on FTWLive.com. For myself, Joe, Nick, and everyone in the live chat, we'll see you next Tuesday. Later.
Holla, holla.